is when I started putting the predictions, all of the things from 2020 till currently that I was receiving. When you have resentment, you're holding it inside yourself. You will understand what it is that you are supposed to do by simply moving in the direction that you feel is right. You are able to see the path unfold before you. Take one step at a time to witness the future unfold.
Because we're all humans. We're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome to the show Pamela Downes. How you doing, Pamela?
Hi, Alex. I'm so excited to be here. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah.
You have a unique one. You haven't been doing this for a long time.
No.
And when I say this, because people might not know what you do,
Jesus.
you're also a trance channel, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, correct?
Yes.
So I've had a few channelers on the show,
Yeah.
and everyone's a little different.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little different. But before we go down that path, what was your life like before this insanity? Before of like, hey, I'm going to be a channeler, because that's the cool thing to do.
All the guys are doing it.
Oh, everyone's doing it, man. Everyone's doing it. So yeah, tell me. So like, what was your life like before this first came into your life, when you heard the voices?
When I heard the voices, when I started the expansion into the crazy world of trance channeling, I was, I won't say a soccer mom, but pretty much. I mean, I grew up in Catholic tradition, Italian background, close family around me, and I was a creative. I was a musician, so I was trained classically in piano. I was good at art and music. They were my two, things that I was really good at in my life. My mom saw that about me and kind of nurtured that part of me. But I always felt, and I know that a lot of times when I interview people and the people that you interview, I always felt weird. I always felt different. I always felt like I never really fit in. There was something about me that wasn't like everybody else. And I used to think that was, something different as a child. But when I grew up and became a young adult and started seeing my value and what I brought to the world, I started seeing that, I'm really creative and I have these skills and people are paying me a salary to do this for a living. And so I am different, but it's in a good way. I went to art school. And when I went to art school, I felt like I found my people. I felt like I found all the other weird people.
You ran away with the circus.
Yeah, they were all together under one roof.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is great. And it was a small women's art school in Philadelphia. And I got to be expressive, and I got to cut my hair crazy and wear crazy clothes and have splatter paint ties and, half mohawk and like all the things. And that was like the beginning of really kind of entering into my weirdness, I guess. But then you look at me and I look pretty normal and buttoned up and straight-laced now. I got married and I had babies and I lived in a beautiful little bucolic town in New Jersey outside of Philadelphia. But I started having questions about religion. It just wasn't resonating with me, and specifically when my kids needed to be baptized and then needed to put them into CCD and all those things, right?
Yeah. I've been there.
Right. And I was like, well, I'll do this because my grandmother is alive. And, my daughter, my firstborn, is going to wear the christening dress that my mother wore. And I was very into tradition and into what everybody else wanted of me, from me for a very long time. And I think like every decade of your life, you change. You start to get more empowered in yourself. You start to see what you bring into the world. You start to see who you are, what your abilities are, and what you want more of, what you don't want anymore. And religion was just like, there was just like this, let's wait a minute. Let's see, what do we believe in? And I was like, well, I don't believe in this anymore. I can't bring this to my children to believe in. That doesn't make sense. Right. And that just kind of blew my mom's mind. Although she was, I guess, used to me being different. But I don't know, Alex.
You prepped her a bit.
Yeah. But yeah, she did. I mean, she was like my cheerleader growing up. She saw what I needed and kind of pushed me in the right directions. But I started having my spiritual awakening journey. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time. I didn't understand it. And I was having big questions, and I didn't like the answers that were being given to me. They didn't make sense. Right. And I remember thinking as a kid, like, why does this state end and like another state starts? Or why does this country end? And then like you take one step and it's the next country. Who created these rules? Like who said we're working 5 days and we have 2 days off? And what is this currency? And who owns planet Earth? And who are we purchasing? Like all of this stuff. And it was the beginning of the breakdown, which is what everyone's experiencing now, you know? So I had taken my kids out of CCD, took them out of religion, and my mom said, well, I don't understand. That means you don't believe that Jesus died on the cross for you to have eternal life. And I said, I don't know where I got this from. I'm like, I believe that eternal life is my gift. I believe that it's free for everyone. I had loved Jesus. I've always had an amazing relationship with him since I was a little girl. He was like my main man. I grew up in an abusive alcoholic household. My father was angry. He was a dictator. It was not a safe place. I didn't feel safe around him. I was scared of him. And he was physically, mentally, emotionally abusive. But Jesus was always there. God was always there. And my papa was always there, my Italian grandfather. He was like the largest expression of love that I had for a very long time in my life. And my mom was like, well, then you're not going to do religion and you're not going to do holidays? And I'm like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure this thing out. And at the same time, when I was going through the questioning, I was also starting to have what I call my knockdown. And I call it a knockdown because it was, I use the word God. I think the great I am, the omnipotent energy that runs, source all of it, it's all the same to me. So God was like, you need to get humbled a little bit. You think you know everything. You got it all figured out, girl.
I'll show you.
Yeah. You think your zip code's important.
And
you think your husband's title is important.
Oh, yeah.
You think the right school, the right outfit, the right bag, the right car. You think that's important. We've got other plans for you. I'm going to give you your knockdown. The recession came in 2008, and we lost everything. My husband lost his job. I had my own business since 2000, marketing firm, branding firm. Marketing's the first thing to get cut.
Of course it is.
Yeah. And it was just we were sinking. Everything was shifting. And I started seeing my entire world shift. The people that I thought were my friends, they weren't there for me. The people that were my friends from years ago who drove over the bridge an hour to be with me, to help me in the most difficult time of my life, it was like I just saw everything with new eyes. And I had a heart opening and I understood. And we had to sell my house. We had to get rid of it. It was just killing us.
It really hurt. It really hit you. Yeah.
And it was the worst real estate market.
Oh, I know.
We couldn't. Yes, you do.
I remember.
Yep. Yeah. And something happened. It was like I suddenly had this shift in perspective. So that was happening. Religion was happening. And then my father lost his battle with alcoholism. So all these things were happening at the same time. And I was watching this big bully of a man be completely taken over by alcohol. And I saw him getting weak and withering and his body changing and him needing me. And a lot of people talk about forgiveness. A lot of people talk about relating. Like I talked about the decades before. I was in another decade of my life where I was understanding my parents in a different way. I was understanding my father's relationship with alcohol.
Right.
I was understanding his stressors. I was understanding having empathy for him. And he lost his battle with alcoholism, and we went down and I watched him pass. I wasn't like in the spiritual world yet, but I was trying to dabble in meditation, and I found Abraham Hicks. So that was the first channeler. And I thought, okay, I understand this. I am the creator of my reality. I manifest with my words, with my thoughts. And I said, I can do this. Like, I understand this. And I started playing with it. And one day I was like, okay, if I can do this, I was like, let me see a red ball. Let me just see a red ball. And Facebook had just come out, and I was scrolling on Facebook, and this person that I knew was sitting playing with their kid, and he threw a red ball at the phone. And I was like, okay, I see how this works. This is pretty cool. And I started playing with it. And I said, well, we need to unload this house. I know that I need to resonate on the feeling of unloading this house. I know that I need to feel it, I need to put the intention out into the universe. So I laid down on my bed, I closed my eyes, and I thought about the feeling of having that house just taken off of me. Mm-hmm. I thought about the feeling of giving the keys to the new owners. I saw it because I'm an artist. And I just, that was like, it was amazing. And I vibrated. And I let that pulse out into the universe. I sold my house in less than 24 hours. And I kept saying the whole time, fast sell as is, fast closing as is, full price. And I did in less than 24 hours. And I was like, okay, this is so cool. Like, it was so neat. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, my marriage was ending. Like, I had all of these things happening. I know everybody went through such a difficult time in that time.
Not everybody, by the way.
Not everybody.
Some of the greatest fortunes, some of the greatest prosperity happens at the darkest times.
Yes.
I mean, some of the biggest companies in the world were done in the Depression.
Yes.
Started in the Depression.
Yes.
So it is where you are at too.
Yes.
In those kind of environments.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of.
There was a lot.
There was a lot.
There was a lot of that. And Abraham Hicks really was the beginning, was my first spiritual teacher, I would say, was my first mentor. I did not know that I was going to be on this road to channeling. It's not something I said, I want to be a channeler when I grow up one day. But in retrospect now, I can look at it and say that this brought me to this, brought me to this, brought me to this. I found this movie. I'm sure you've heard of it, Tuning In.
Of course.
Daryl Anko was in it, and Lee Carroll and Wendy Kennedy, and like all these people. When I was going through my divorce, my separation, and then my divorce, I listened to that. I would walk every night. I would listen to that video. I would get something new out of it. I loved that each one of them were asked the same questions, and they pieced them together, and it was fascinating to me. I didn't understand that I was like with my people again. I didn't know any of that was going on. I was just drawn to them. I didn't have a community. I was going through my spiritual awakening alone. They were my people. Sheila Gillette was my people. You know, Abraham was my people. I found Lee Harris. They were my people. And I understood what they were saying, and I wanted more. I wanted more and more and more of it. So that wanting and that desire and that me following the breadcrumbs and moving forward brought me ultimately into my spiritual awakening journey, but also my healing journey, which you don't know that you're going on a healing journey.
No. And it's usually when you're going on a healing journey, it's generally painful.
It's really painful. It's not all sprinkled cupcakes and everything. But it led me to meeting the right people at the right time. You know, that knockdown, those people fell off the game board and new people came onto the game board. People that were here to hold my hand, so to speak, and bring me to the next little place that I was supposed to go. And one of those was a woman that I was doing trade with she was 30 of 30 Forbes magazine, a sustainability expert in New York City. She left it all to follow Reiki, to go do ayahuasca in the mountains with the indigenous people, you know. She said, Pamela, you're in marketing, branding. Can you help me create my brand? I said, yeah, of course. Why don't we do trade? So we're doing trade just for the work. And she starts building this retreat to go down to Costa Rica to do a Reiki level 1 training on this crystal quartz mountain. And I secretly was like, that sounds so cool. I had never done anything like that in my life. And I was like, I wonder if she'll do trade for that. Like, I wonder if she'll do trade for that thing. And I kept wanting to ask, and I kept hearing, no. Not yet, not yet. And then suddenly she said to me, do you want to go on this retreat? And I was like, yes. Yes, I do. But I didn't really want to learn Reiki. I never wanted to be a healer or any of that. But I kept being called to go. And so I went and I got attuned and I started understanding my chakras and I started understanding my energy. It was all about me because I had no idea. When I was married, I went on Zoloft the first year of my marriage because I was so nervous. I had all this crazy energy around me. As an artist and a musician, I didn't understand my whole entire life. I was an empath. You know, you were into pharmaceuticals because that's what they told you to do to manage your anxiety. And that was part of my waking up. Is I was like, I don't want to be on this anymore. I don't know why, Alex. It just was like, I don't want to be on this anymore, and it's time to be off of this, because it was time to start the healing journey.
The thing that's interesting about your story is there's a few things. One, the artist energy thing. I understand it completely as an artist. Being around artists, being around actors, being around writers, being around these kind of even musicians and in the music industry and things. There's a specific energy that comes with those artists. And I've spoken to some of the biggest artists and known some of the biggest artists in history. And that energy versus someone who's just coming up's energy, it's very different.
Yeah.
I think this is my experience. The larger the artist, meaning the more popular and things like that, at least from my experience, it seems like their energy becomes a bit more controlled, larger, bigger.
Yeah.
Chilled.
Yeah.
When you're coming up, it's manic. It's like
harnessing it.
It's kind of like when you get to that level of frequency to be able to attract
all of that.
They become much more mellow, generally speaking.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like rock stars. We all know what happens and things. And actors as well that crash and burn because a lot of times they can't handle it.
Yes.
But it's very interesting that, and I've had to deal with that most of my life as well as the empath that I had no idea I was, but I would feel it. And I think my male energy has helped with that scenario because it's not as empathic as the female energy. So it's like I already have an empath, but when you're a female and an empath, it's like you're doubling it up. It's like you're
wild.
Yeah, it's like you're amping everything up. So I think my male energy has helped.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Scenario.
It grounds it.
It does.
Sure.
It does. But the other thing I wanted to point out, and because I think this is such an important lesson for people listening, with your father, towards the end of his life, you began to be empathetic with him, and that takes time, especially when that person's hurt you. And only with distance and only with age, when you start to go back and look at relationships, I look at all the people who did wrong things to me or that hurt me in one way, shape, or form, I look with them with great empathy now because I look back, I'm like, well, that's all they could do. It's not like they chose to be the twiddling the mustache bad guy in your life. The set of circumstances that built that human being, their upbringing, their programming, their experiences, created the person that you encountered. Now, is it your fault? Is it like, then you're like, oh, but why me? Like, well, then we could talk about soul blueprints and we'll get into all that. But if you look at that, it does open, it looks at your window, your lens towards this. It looks towards the people. It doesn't say that you shouldn't get away from them.
Right.
Once you realize it and try to avoid, if they're hurting you, you need to get out of those relationships. You need to get away as best you can.
Yeah.
But to look at them with a little bit different energy, empathy, I think goes a long way as opposed to going with anger.
Yeah. And I mean, somebody asked me recently, and I know I'm going all over the place because simultaneously so many things were happening at the same time. But somebody asked me recently, and your Rihanna guest recently, that's what I mean about our stories were so similar. Somebody asked, would you change it all? Would you change it all and take it away? And I was like, no. Because it's brought me here today. And my father, we came down in a soul contract. He was the spark of my spiritual awakening journey that led me right here. So if I didn't have that contrast when I was young, if I didn't understand that and have that pain, and for he and I to go and have that dance together, and then for me to be able ultimately to forgive him, resentment. When you have resentment, you're holding it inside yourself. It's not about anyone else, it's about you. So for me to be able to release that resentment, that pain, that sorrow, I have compassion for my father. And you have to be in a certain place to be able to have that. Like you said, there's other people in my family members who are at different levels of understanding that.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just at a frequency that's not able to hold compassion for them, or I don't know. Everyone's journey is different. But forgiveness for me, and I was told at the time, I had a psychic that I would go and see. His name was Rich Branconi. I loved him. I did. I would see him twice a year for like 8-10 years. That was my community and all the other people I told you about. And he would help me. And my dad would come through and talk to me. And he would say, because you forgave me, you helped me with my vibration on the other side. I helped him elevate his frequency. He and I are doing a dance. And we decided that we were going to do it together. And, you know, it's huge. It's a big deal.
Let me ask you this. This is a big question. Actually came up the other day. I believe, and I'll tell you what I believe. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So many people ask, why are there bad people in the world? Like, let's say, for an example, the trauma and the abuse and everything that you took from your father. There's a wise, first of all, the more basic question is, why would God allow this? Why does God allow that? So that's the first basic question. A little bit next level, no pun intended, a little next level as far as that concept is concerned, like, does the soul on the other side, so does your father's soul on the other side and you on the other side, both go, hey, in this lifetime, I need someone who's going to spark my spiritual journey. I need a contrast to be able to grow against, because if I don't have a contrast, I can't grow. If I don't have the weight to carry or lift, my muscles won't grow. Who will do that? And I guess in the crowd of the soul group that you're in, like, oh, you know what? I haven't done that yet. I'll come down. I'll have a problem with alcoholism and addiction. I'll have certain things in my life that are going to create this person who will then encounter you when you're born, and I will be that person for you. And you're like, great, I'll sign up for that as well. That they've now made the choice to be this person in this life, to play this character, which we considered a bad guy from the perspective of what we're looking at, of abusing a child or traumatizing a child or anything like that. We all have those people in our lives. Every one of us does.
Every one of us has.
So my question to you is, and I'd love to ask the council this question as well, is that what happens? Do they actually choose to be the bad guy? Did Genghis Khan say, oh, we need 10% of the population knocked out? I got you. I got you. I got to learn a whole lot of stuff, and then I can build off of that and learn a whole lot afterwards. And then there was a giant group of people that said, yeah, we want to be, okay, cool. Yeah. I'll help all you guys, Yeah. Because, I mean, talk about contrast. I use Genghis Khan or Alexander the Great or any of these older, people who did that kind of stuff back in the day, and people we don't even know about. So do they say, I'll play the bad guy because it needs to be? Without Darth Vader, there is no Luke Skywalker.
Correct. It's the contrast.
You need that player on the field.
Yes.
If not, this doesn't work.
Yes.
Would you agree?
I would agree completely. And from some of the different things that I've done on my healing journey, shamanic journeys in the very beginning, my father and I did this dance in previous lifetimes. And I'm going to talk about my ayahuasca journey and how it started me with channeling. But there was a pivotal moment in one of my experiences that night where I was receiving downloads from my dad or from spirit, showing me things in my life in this lifetime that connected to past life experiences with my father and how he did better in this lifetime than he had done in the past in similar circumstances, father-daughter alcoholism. We were both alcoholics, and there was all kinds of other abuse involved in it. They told me how he did better in this lifetime and he improved. So I do believe that just like in this current lifetime that we're in right now, your whole entire purpose for being on planet Earth is to raise your vibration, which is your understanding of love, right? Which is learning love. And that's what we're doing through all of our multiple experiences on planet Earth in this physical form. And that is taking the role of this or that or dark or light or all the different, being the supporting role, all of the different pieces that we play.
And also for people to understand, it's not as black and white as everyone thinks. So like, and I'll use, because I'm a movie guy, I'll use Darth Vader again as an example. When you first see Darth Vader, he's pure evil. I mean, literally, you see him come on the screen for the first time and everybody knew before anyone said anything, that's the bad guy.
He looks scary.
He looks scary. That's the bad guy. The genius of George Lucas. But as we continue to go through, he wasn't the bad guy all his life. And he also wasn't the bad guy to everybody. There were moments of compassion. There were moments that he was positive in other people's lives. So that goes along with even people like either that, like your father, I have to imagine somewhere there was some love, there was some positive aspects to it. So I want people to understand that we're real complicated.
Yeah, I'm here. That's an expression of love.
Exactly.
Through he and my mother.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to excuse anything, but I want to try to show a lens of empathy and understanding of it, because I promise you, you've been the bad guy in somebody's story.
Oh yeah.
I've been a bad guy in somebody's story. So we all play the bad guy. Some play it better than others. Some play it longer than others. But every one of us, every single human being plays the bad guy in somebody else's story, because we're always the heroes of our own story.
Seriously, it's so true. But in this particular lifetime, I am meant to be here. I am to help humankind through this consciousness shift. And my dad's role was like so important as the bad guy.
Of course.
And there's different things that happen in your family dynamics. That was my experience. Mom had her experience, brother had his experience, and everyone's was very important, and everyone's was a soul journey. And collectively, just like humankind, we have our collective experience and our individual experiences. And my father had a second wife, and they had their dance, right? And my father had all of his relationships that were their individual dances, just like all of us. And, I don't know, I'm in this lifetime, I want to be the best version of myself now with my eyes wide open, and I want to serve. But I don't know what I was like in my other lifetimes. I know I was persecuted for doing this work many, many times, which is what I've been shown and told.
Oh, sure.
But, here I am, and hopefully it's going to be, I get to complete it, which is what I've been told. So,
yeah, a lot of people who come on the show, they're like, I was burned at the stake.
Yeah, I was tortured. My arms were pulled off.
Yeah,
I was burned.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Because the world's frequency wasn't ready for it yet. Now we are evolving. As much as we don't think we are, we actually are moving forward. So let me ask you, when did you first hear the first voice? And did you think you were going nuts when you did hear the first voice?
I would get knowings, and then it started with images, because I'm an artist, and I just wanted to connect so bad. I wanted to connect. Even when my kids were going to like dance class and I had to wait out in the parking lot, I would put like meditative music on and close my eyes and try to connect. And it was like yoga nidra, then it was meditation, then it was Reiki, and then it was going to work on my chakras for the first time. And then it was it just was one thing after the other thing after the other thing. And through all of that, I started having visions. Like my pop-up would come to me and talk to me. My dad would talk to me in the very, very beginning. And this was like, 2012, 2008 when this all started. My dad would come and talk to me through a can phone. Isn't that funny? Remember when you were kids, you had a can phone? And he would be like, Pammy. And I was like, Dad?
Yeah.
Dad?
Yeah.
And he would tell me things. And I was like, okay, this is real. And then after I watched him die, I watched the essence of him leave his body. And I was like, where did he go? Where did he go? And then out of the blue, that medium I told you about, Rich, an invitation came to me. I didn't have $75 to throw around. We were going through it, and every dollar counted. And a paid ticket to this mediumship gallery came to me, and I walked in with these people, and I sat down, and Rich came over to me, and he goes, "Your father is here." And I was like, "Yeah, what?" Like I had never been to one of these before. And he goes, "Your father's here. He died of alcohol. It was his liver." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, he wants you to know that he is so sorry for how he showed up. He wants you to know how talented you are." And I was like, my father never told me that. He never even understood me. And so that was so specific that started me wanting to know everything, wanted to go to psychics, wanting to go to Akashic Records, wanted me to do all the things. And through that, I started hearing. I started knowing, and one of the knowings was I saw a video of Gerald Powell, and he was talking about his experience with plant medicine. He was a hotelier. He was addicted to sex, gambling, drugs, everything. And somebody challenged him to do this plant medicine, and through this experience, he revealed, this terrible memory from abuse of his childhood. cleared his addiction, changed his whole entire life. And he took his skills, as we all are doing, and applied it to now supporting humankind. And he created Rhythmia Life Advancement Center. I saw that video and I was like, there was just a knowing. I knew I was going there, just like I knew I would be here having this conversation one day. I just knew it. And I would say, I don't know how I'm going to go there. I don't know how I'm going to go to another country and do a class 1 hallucinogenic by myself. That doesn't sound like me.
That's very safe.
Yeah. But I know I'm going.
Yeah.
And I started just living with my spirit first. I started living with the knowledge that I was starting to receive, the knowings, the feelings, the understanding who felt true and real and resonated with me and who didn't. And opportunities would come and experiences would come and all these things started happening. And I did trade with this business coach who then said, will you do work for our company? And I was like, yes. And then she was like, I'd love for you to come to this symposium in Florida as part of our trade. And I was like, sure. I started saying yes. And I went down, I walked into this room, and the owner of the company was there. And I had worked on his brand and worked with his photos, but I never met him in person. I walked up to him and I was like, Steve, hi. My name is Pamela. I work on your stuff. He looked at me. I looked at him. This energy shot through both of our heads, out our hearts, and went, and he looked at me and I looked at him and he went, do you feel that? And I said, I do. And then we went on our merry way doing the symposium. And I went back to Philadelphia, where I lived, and I was working. And I was on a Zoom call, and my phone rang. And I looked down at it, and I saw this odd number. I heard, it's Steve. I went on with my call. I get off my call. Pamela, this is Steve. I want to understand I want to talk about what that experience was. I want to get to know you. So we became friends. So he said, Pamela, I don't normally tell business, associates this, but I'm about to leave to go do ayahuasca in I forget where. And but I feel so comfortable with you. I'm going to tell you that. And I said, ayahuasca? I was like, I'm going to go to do ayahuasca too. I'm going to go to Rhythmia Life Advancement Center. I don't know when I'm going, but that's where I'm going. He goes, Pamela, I'm going there in November. I'm like, no, you're not. Now, these are not conversations that happen during the 9 to 5, right? Sure. You're not talking about spirituality and ayahuasca.
Right.
And we became really good friends. And I kept hearing, he's going to ask you to go with him. He's going to ask you to go with him. And lo and behold, he goes, Pamela, I'm getting guidance that I'm supposed to invite you to go to this trip. You pay your own way. You'll be my guest. He's in this group called TLC. One of the owners of TLC is one of the partners is in TLC, who's a partner of Rhythmia. They're shutting it down. Normally 100 people there, releasing trauma, addiction. They're shutting the whole entire place down. There's going to be 40 high conscious people there. I would love for you to join us.
Oh, amazing.
And be with these people. You're going to love them. So I didn't have to figure it out. Spirit was like, here, we know that you need to be in a high vibrational situation. You've got really important work to do, Pamela. But you need to say yes, and you need to not have fear of money,
right.
And you need to get to this experience. And by then, I learned, money was a thing I was working through. Losing everything in the recession was a thing I had to work through. Abundance, all of that. And I happened to get a tax return that was exactly the money that I needed.
In that way, it's funny the way that works out.
And instead of getting a new roof or a new HVAC, I got the experience with Rhythmia, and that's when everything shifted. That's when everything was like, everything just changed.
So once so now you're channeling, you're changing your vibration, you're doing all this stuff. And that's all fine and dandy, Pamela. When you're in your own house, when you're quiet, maybe within your circle of your own friends.
Yeah.
But when did you decide to come out of the closet?
Yeah.
And how did that? I mean, honestly, you still have another business.
Yeah.
I have had similar thing with mine where I had a filmmaking business that I shut down when I started to do better in podcasting back in the day, and then there's this kind of double life where you're like. You're talking about woo-woo stuff.
I know. You're out in the ethers.
And then you're also a marketing and branding company.
Yeah.
Now, unless you're marketing branding for woo-woo,
right.
that wouldn't be an issue. But otherwise, this could be an issue. So what happened when you decided to come out of this closet with your friends, with your colleagues, with your family? I can imagine with your family.
Yeah.
Because this is the devil's work.
Yeah. They don't talk about it.
They don't.
No.
She just goes and does stuff.
I've heard that from so many other, just their stories from other channels, especially in tuning in. There was this one guy who was like, my family doesn't talk about it. They don't talk about it. So I don't know if I've fully come 100% out of the closet. This is the moment.
Oh, I hate to tell you. I hate to tell you, this is going to be that moment, Pamela.
It's awesome. It's so good, Alex. I love it.
Coming out on the show. I appreciate it.
I know. And I think that's why all of these dots connected. And I had to say yes, say yes, say yes. I, in 2020, got a download. I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard spirit calling, and I got up and I wrote it down. And then over the course of a year, I started working and channeling all the stuff I did at Rhythmia. I started doing again at home, and I started bringing in vibrations and hearing light language, and it all started changing, and my physicality was changing to receive this vibration from these higher dimensional beings. I was in my house. No one knew what I was doing because no one was out doing anything. It was 2020. So I had this like bank of time where I could really invest in that. So I was in the closet for a long time. And then over the course of the year, the guides kept saying, you need to build a portal for humankind. There's going to be experience. They need a safe place to land. People who are going through their spiritual awakening journey. And I'm like, I can't do that right now. I've got all this other stuff to do. Yeah. And finally, I met the right person to help me build the platform. And I knew it was time to start sharing these, like, I get pushed, I get nudged. I'm kind of like a belligerent child. I'm like, I don't want to do it yet. I'm not ready yet. And then I watched this show called The Messiah, and I'm not comparing myself to Jesus at all, but I love him. He's my dude. He's my man. But they had Mary talking to Jesus, and it was the wedding when they ran out of wine. And she looks at him and she's like, you need to make some wine. And he's like, Mom, I'm not ready. And she looked at him and she's like, if not now, then when? And that moment hit me like, it's freaking time. Yeah. It is time. And I said to the guides, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to start sharing them? And this bird flew into the window in front of my face. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. It was a test.
Poor bird.
I know.
You could have sent an email.
Did you have to do that? You could have sent me a dream or something. Did we have to do that?
For God's sake.
But I started out slow by, I do automatic writing. So I kind of center myself, close my eyes, call them in, they come in, and then fast and furiously I'm typing. I have no idea what's coming out. I kind of move over to the side. And then I just started doing the live speaking it. So nice. Yeah, it's cool, Alex.
It's very cool. So your family doesn't talk about it.
No.
Friends, you lost some friends, you said, that fell off the board.
Yeah.
And then I know the feeling. I know completely the feeling. And as far as your business is concerned, some people know about this thing, some people don't know that. I mean, you're out there. I mean, you have a social media account.
Yes.
You have a website. I mean, it's not like you're hiding.
Right, I'm not hiding. Over the past year, I've really built it over the past year.
Right, but now this will be a little bit different after the show.
It'll be a little different. Like, I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw a for sale sign in front of my house, the one I just moved, and I heard that you need to move. You have to sell your house. And I was like, what?
I just got here.
And
moving's fun, isn't it?
I guess it's not.
It's so
It's
much
not fun. It's like...
It's horrible. It's the worst.
It's crazy.
It's the worst.
And I was like, I'm not ready to sell my house. But they wanted me to sell my house because they wanted me to fund marketing this, supporting this. I didn't even try to sell my house. I walked across the street to my neighbors, and she said to me, the morning that I was told to sell my house, what are you going to do when your youngest goes to college? I'm like, I just decided I'm going to sell my house. My father wants to buy your house. It happened in like a half a day. That shows me I'm doing the right thing.
Going on the path.
To put the investment into marketing it, to doing all the things. And so to answer your question, it's a very long answer. January of this year is really me putting my face out on social, on YouTube, on my portal, being on other people's podcasts, and thank you, and just putting the live channels out and the written messages out, and I have a beautiful business partner whose name is also Pam. Isn't that funny? And we always have things happening in our lives at the same time. So she's having a life shift now where she wants to be her true and authentic self as well. It's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful.
It's beautiful.
So she, people that are really close to me, from afar, they see what I'm doing, but it's, even my beloved says, there's how many people in the world, Pamela? There's space for everyone. Not everybody needs to know what you're doing, and you keep them separate, and it's eventually you'll make a choice when the time is right. And I always know that will be effortless. I just go like this. It's not upstream, it's downstream. So that's what I trust in.
I feel that when you are on the path, the universe conspires with you.
Everything
just starts to open, doors start to open, opportunities present themselves. It's pretty remarkable. To be honest with you, that you've gotten on the show, how you got here, it's pretty magical.
Alex,
it's insane.
Alex, it was meant to happen, Alex.
I know, it's pretty magical, because it's just like, okay.
I don't know if you know the story, though.
I don't.
After that bird hit the window.
Poor bird.
I'm sorry, bird.
Rest.
May you rest in peace.
A moment for the bird. A moment for the bird.
But after that experience happened is when I started putting the predictions, all of the things from 2020 till currently that I was receiving. I found the courage to do it. An angel came out of nowhere, this guy Jay Snip 4, so go check him out because he's awesome. He goes, Pamela, there's something about you. Right before I was going away, I got an email from him that said, a friend sent me your video. There's something about you. People should be seeing more of what you're doing. I'd like to have you on my live. I wrote back to him and said, sure, I could do it on Tuesday. I'm going out of town. And when I am just in the flow and not diving into it, it's all spirit. It's all spirit. I go on a show. There's this flurry of new people that find me. Everything shifts on all of my platforms. New people find me. I have new community members. This woman, Polly, came out of nowhere, and I'm dealing with new inboxes, messages, and it's a juggling act of this.
Oh, I know.
And I'm answering and all the things. And this woman said, have you ever thought about going on Next Level Soul? And I'm like, all I did was write back and say, oh my God, yeah, I would love to be on there one day. That was it. It was 5 days, 3 or 4 or 5 days later that I got the invitation. It's like, okay. I know why. It's the timing. Sure. There's a very relevant timing about this, Alex.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you coming out of the closet in a big way, coming on this show. So
and before January, and there's something about before 2025, me being here. We have a shared mission, you and I.
Yeah. Everyone who comes on the show.
Yes.
It's my job to facilitate the spotlight to help people. Yeah, to help people get their messages across and get these ideas out into the world, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing here. That's my mission. Obviously, this doesn't pop up like this. So there's a reason why everything is happening. And I also understand that I'm not in control.
Yes.
I once I realized that I wasn't in control, I'm like, oh.
You're like, oh, I get it.
I couldn't. There's no reason why that episode exploded. Why should? Oh, okay.
Right. You're like,
It's
I wasn't even invested in that.
It feels a lot lighter. Not to feel that you have to control, I need to do this or I need to do that. You have to help the process along.
Yeah.
You need to understand me. If I didn't understand technology, I didn't understand how to edit and put all this stuff together, I can't do the job. So you have to meet the universe at the level that you can meet them
Absolutely. You have to put the energy behind it.
Absolutely.
You have to believe it. You have to know it. To try and teach that to our children, and I know it's experiential learning, I just want them to know, you can have anything you want. You just have to know that it's available to you, that you're worthy of it. And it's there. Yeah.
Worthiness is a big one.
Worthiness is a huge one.
It's a big one. The media and the society beats you down, saying you're not worthy, you're not pretty enough, you don't look good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not smart enough.
You're not all the things.
You're not all the things that everybody else apparently. And trust me, I've worked with the people who think they have everything, that people think that they have everything, and they don't. They're just struggling like everyone else, but they put on a good show.
Yeah.
A
facade.
A very beautiful facade.
Yeah.
I've been.
It's a very pretty package, but there's not a lot inside.
I've worked with many. I've worked with many in my life, and I'm like, when they're on camera, boy, they just are they light up. They like, oh, this is perfect. Second it comes off, the
gosh.
little red light's off.
That is so interesting to me.
They will, it just falls apart because they're humans.
Yeah.
Because we're all humans. We're all doing the best we can.
Yeah.
Some of us, we're born with beautiful genetics and that brings a certain amount of energy towards you.
Yes.
Others are born with talent that brings a certain amount of energy to you. Mm-hmm. And others are not, and it's okay because everyone's got the path that they have to walk.
Everyone has their own path.
Absolutely.
It's very fascinating.
Now, you'd said that you had, before we get to the council, that you did a special session, and you have a computer. So bring out your computer.
Okay.
Bring out your props. Bring out your props. This is a first. No one's actually done this before. So.
I like to do things that no one's done before. Okay.
So you have a message or something?
I do.
So tell the audience what you did.
Not only did I bring you cupcakes, haha.
Yes, you did.
Dina and I brought you cupcakes. I brought you a message.
Okay. Okay.
So I like to channel messages for people, and it comes down and it comes out beautifully, and it's so pretty. And I also channel one for your community. So thank you for letting me.
Yeah, of course.
Read it. So I'm going to read it with the inflection how it comes through, because I hear it when it's coming through. Okay. So what I want to tell you is that you have an understanding of what words mean for you. So you'll have an initial reaction to words, and that's fine. Take it in, whatever. But then I'll send this to you, and you can read it. And then some words might resonate differently. Their words mean like 500 things.
Mm-hmm.
They're very deliberate. So if something doesn't resonate immediately, it might later.
Okay.
All right. Bright-eyed and smiles all around. You as a child were admirable and often liked within your peers. You thought you had stories to share at that time in your life. You thought you were able to admire the unexpected and revel in the messages that were delivered with the tools of film and theater. You were always drawn to that. Your world consisted of exactly what you needed at that time. You learned many lessons and saw the world for what it was, and the industry that you worked within was not the way you would like it to be. You have taken the ideas of your youth and now created something different for the world. You are able to connect with an audience in a way that is true and strong, in a way that pulls on the heartstrings, is riveting and exciting, but through the stories of others' trials, experiences, and expansion. You are the world's director, putting people in front of the world to speak their truths and to be heard. You are igniting souls, dear Alex, igniting souls at every episode and words that you deliver to the world. You are on the right path, and that path now will expand beyond your wildest dreams. You will understand which direction to move in next. You will understand what it is that you are supposed to do by simply moving in the direction that you feel is right. You are able to see the path unfold before you. Take one step at a time to witness the future unfold. You are supporting humanity much in the way that Pamela and others like you are supporting the world. You're on the precipice of expanding the planet, and your messages are received and accepted. You are showing others ways in which to see the world that are different than most, not through the spite of others, not through revealing the wrongs of the world in negative ways, but through truth and light, through the understanding that you are all unique and different in your individual journeys and with the single thread of spirit between you. Continue to share your stories, dear Alex. Continue to expand your empire, and an empire it will be. I mean, that's exactly how they said it. It's like they get a little sassy. It's really cute. One that you have never seen coming in your mind's eye, much like what is unfolding for Pamela. They always have to talk about me. You are moving forward with the fire and intuition in your mind and belly to step one final time into your soul's purpose, which is to expand humanity's path into the shift of consciousness and evolution. Isn't that cool?
That's beautiful and humbling.
I know.
Beautiful and humbling.
It's nice.
That's very nice.
They just want to support everyone. They love us, Okay.
Now the message for the community.
Yes, message for the community. Stand strong in your truths, for you are now experiencing new ways of being, seeing, and feeling. Allow that to permeate through your being and embrace the newness of your desires to be fully embodied within yourself. You are among the right people with the right understanding that will guide you into the next iteration of yourself, keeping with you at all times the message that you are enough, you are true and omnipotent beings, and you are the master of your existence. for you are all sparks of God, the great I am, the creator of life, in the knowing, the creator of life and the receiving of your every desire. You are now experiencing creation at its finest. Revel in that knowing and move forward with your days, knowing that you are the creator of the world that you exist in. And, you and I talked before, I have a very specific mission. I say this in the most respectful and humble place. I meet the layman. I meet the scratchers who are just starting to expand. That's what my job is, and you talk about worth. And when I was with everyone at Rhythmia, they were Jack Canfield. Like they were speaking, teaching, had written books, had been, people pay to see them. And I would say, like, why am I here? Why am I? And there's a worthiness to that. I am here to help the person who's just starting to, it's like they understand my journey, they see themselves in me, and it's my greatest pleasure to be able to help them see that for themselves. And so if you need to listen to that, your community, if you need to listen to that again,
play it back.
Rewind, play.
Yeah. It's so beautiful. So thank you so much for that. I'm looking forward to meeting the council. So can you tell everybody how you channel and what's your process?
As we said before, this is new to me, so it's ever expanding. I call the council in. They come in really quickly, and they get super excited. My physicality, I'm not with my eyes open, my eyes are closed, and sometimes my body moves.
It happens.
And my neck looks sometimes strained. But sometimes they come in like a force, and then they kind of calm down. So I have no idea. They're very excited. Obviously, they put us together here today. But they've assured me that they will come in eloquently.
They'll behave themselves for camera?
Yes. And I have no idea what they're going to say.
Sure.
But they are omnipotent, beautiful beings of light. And their greatest purpose is to help humankind right now through what's going on our planet.
And do you remember or not remember?
I partially remember what's being said. I don't remember all of it, no.
It's more dreamlike.
Yeah.
Almost. Right.
But as I said, I'm new. So sometimes, because they taught me a process to get tactile with myself, to get my mind off of this and more into allowance. So sometimes my mind might get in the way, and I have to kind of take a moment and get back. Yeah.
You're still honing the skill, if you will. And does it take energy from you, or does it energize you? Like, how long have you done a session before?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't get depleted like some others that I've heard. I don't know. I'm used to juggling 500 things and putting a channel in there, and it's ever changing. Yeah.
But what's the longest channeling session you've done?
Boy, I think Dean and I have done probably an hour.
Okay. So yeah, and you were fine.
And Q&A and back and forth and stuff like that.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring them in. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Let's see what happens. Yes, we are here. We are very happy to be here. Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Yes, we are very, very happy indeed. Yes, dear Alex. Yes.
So my first question to you, thank you for being here. Can you just describe or discuss what a soul blueprint is?
Yes.
And the purpose of it, how it guides us in this life?
There are lessons that you learn within each lifetime and your physical on planet Earth. You come specifically each time to understand, love, the essence of who you are. There are specific energies and beings within your soul group that you learn and expand with. They are in mutual agreement with you to create experiences in order for you to shift the frequency of your vibration and to understand love at its core. There are many drivers. There are many beings during your life's path on planet Earth and others that create experiences in addition to your soul group. in order for you to have as many experiences as possible.
Let me ask you a little bit more about humanity right now. Why is there such an increased global turmoil and division at this point in human history?
For there is a shift that is inevitable. For there is a way of being that has been positioned on your planet, created for your humankind. It is now in the beginning of a breakdown. For within the breakdown, beauty will be in its place. But, dear ones, it will take time to create that future version of your planet. In order for that version to reveal itself, other versions must diminish.
Now, let me ask you, how do you interpret the shift that is happening from the old systems to the new systems coming up?
Yes, the breakdown. There is frequency within your earth plane that is increasing ever. The systems that have been put in place in your government, yes, your medical systems, your healthcare, your entertainment, all are within this system. The nature of it is calculated and is not in the best interest of humankind as a whole.
Let me ask you, how do you see religion evolving in these coming times?
Religion is breaking down now. There is a movement forward, seekers looking for something to believe in, not resonating with the world that has been created for them. Religion is the dial that they are able to turn to figure out what it is they are looking for, but religion is with boundaries, resistance, guilt, rules. Religion in itself entirely is not a bad experience to move forward within, but there's limitations within religion.
What are those limitations?
Limitations of measures of love, valuing love as a tool, not understanding love is freely given to you and available to you in every aspect of it.
And do you have any parting messages for the audience?
Yes, we have. We are here now to support you. We have the highest intentions and love for your humankind. We are here, and we are love. Love for you. You are love. We are all together here for this experience, this exchange for the future.
And there you are. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. They just started to work on my neck out of nowhere. I was like, what the heck?
That was a lot of energy.
Yeah, so I'll tell you right now, I feel a little depleted. You could probably look at me and say I look tired or something.
How come?
I don't know. I think because it was...
intense?
It was, yeah.
More than normal?
Yeah, when they came in, they were like, rah! I could feel that.
Right. And it just kind of takes it out of you a little bit?
How was it for you? Were you scared?
No.
I'm just teasing you.
No, not at all. No, it's interesting because, like when Daryl does his with Bashar comes in very similarly. He just goes into his whole thing and then settles down. That's just the energy of Bashar. So I'm not unfamiliar with that. And I've had other channels who are
loud.
I've had loud and quiet, and I've had all sorts everywhere in between. But their energy is pretty pretty intense.
Yeah.
They are...
no nonsense.
They are all of them generally are no nonsense. I haven't heard one that's foo-foo. They all generally come in with, they're like straight, blunt.
Yeah.
They don't...
Straight shooters.
They're very straight shooters, without question. But the thing is that is happening. There's no doubt about it.
I'll never, yeah.
But I think we're all getting tired of it.
Mm-hmm. We're getting tired of it.
Because we need to go through this for us to understand we don't want that anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So many people are just tuning off. I mean, I use Hollywood as an example all the time.
Tuning off is the word.
Yeah, look at how hurt the studios are right now. They are hurting badly. I get calls from Hollywood from my friends who are just like they're at the ground level.
They're breaking down.
And they're like, the entire system is breaking down.
Wow, that's
and they
so
can see
cool.
it. They can see it. They can feel
That's
it.
what I saw.
Yeah, they're feeling like the whole system's breaking down. We can't get jobs. The systems are, and you could see it. And then you could just look at the box offices. No one cares about movies anymore. The streaming services are all hurting, all of them, because people are starting, especially the studio ones that came out a handful of years ago. People are tuning that off. The mainstream news.
They're making new choices.
Yeah, because they're looking for alternative outlets to find things that make more sense to them and not listen to people's either agenda or points of view.
Yes.
They find the points of view that resonates with them. Yeah. Hence one of the reasons why this show is popular, because it resonates with a segment of the audience that is looking for this kind of stuff. Our new streaming platform is focused on streaming light. It's putting light out into the world and to connect with people in a more authentic way and to go down different rabbit holes. You can't get that on the mainstream.
That's what people want. You're absolutely right.
That's where it's all going.
Yes.
And the studios, by the time they figure it out, it'll be too late.
That's so interesting, because I have no idea about Hollywood. I just see whatever is in front of me.
I literally got a call yesterday from an old writer who used to be he's a showrunner. He's a big writer, and a showrunner means that they create a show and they run the show. So that's the highest level of a producer in television is a showrunner, essentially. And he's like, the whole system is coming crashing down, man. Everything around us. And I hear it from my friends all the time. And they're like, the best thing you ever did was get out.
You listened.
That you left 3 years ago and you built out a podcast about spirituality. It's like, it is the smartest thing you ever did. I'm like, I wish I could take credit for it. I wish I could say, I did see a lot of what's happening in Hollywood happen.
Well, you felt it.
I saw it. Yeah. I was in the ground level too. I was in the trenches with my old podcast, and I would listen to writers and filmmakers and actors, and I could hear it and I could see it off air and on air. You know, I'm like, guys,
it's not lasting.
You can't see this happening. So I was talking about this years ago, and now what I'm talking about now, people will look back on Hollywood. They're like, he was talking about that. I'm like, yeah, the whole thing is going to come crashing down, and something new will pop up to replace it. And I don't think it'll be gone completely, but it will have to evolve, just like religion. Well, like religion. Yeah. So you and I are both
Catholics.
Former Catholics.
Yeah.
And the Catholic Church was so powerful at a certain point, and that kind of religion that specific faith brought out was a very controlling, a lot of rules, things like that. But at the time it was created, humanity needed that.
Right, exactly.
Because we were running around crazy, killing everybody and screwing everybody and just raping and pillaging, and it's anarchy. So the church came in and it's like, look, if you do this, there's this place called hell. Oh, I don't want to go to hell.
You're going to go to hell.
Yeah,
change your ways.
There's a devil with a pitchfork, that kind of stuff. So it was needed to control the insanity. And it wasn't just the Catholics, but all other forms of religion brought in certain sets of rules to control the populace because it was out of control, And then as we've evolved, though, we've kind of like nowadays we don't need that. It doesn't make sense anymore.
Right.
Like when I was going to have my first communion, the nun was very upset that my mom was going to go because she was divorced.
I heard you say that once, and I was like, what the heck?
And I was like, are you out? Yeah,
because it was a sin.
Oh, right? No, if you're divorced, you're done.
Yeah.
It's like, and then the priest was the one that's like, she's a little extra. Come on in.
She's just being extra.
She's being a little extra. But that was the kind of stuff. Even when I went over to the Vatican, my wife had to put on a shawl to cover her shoulders when walking into a church.
It's just all of those rules.
And by the way, none of them were Christ. Jesus never said anything about that.
Right. Jesus never said any of those. They were man. I remember, like, if I would eat something, they're like, you can't take communion. I'm like, I just don't understand. And I think our generation and the generation it's just like we were there before the internet, we were there after the internet, and we were like that bridge generation. But then the generations coming up behind it, it makes less and less sense. Yeah, they won't have
these old, and it's not just religion, all the systems.
Yes.
Hollywood, medical, education, finance, government, all of it doesn't make sense. So things that have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years, they're looking at them like, that makes no sense.
No,
and they come in pre-programmed that way, from the factory.
Yeah. Nothing makes me happier than my 21-year-old sending me like things on Instagram saying, "Did you see this?" And I'm like, she's starting to understand, because they want to find their own truths. They're not having it. They're not
playing the game.
Yeah.
They're not playing the game. Mm-mm. And now the technology is available in the world that's a possibility. Education, access to content like this. It's not 3 channels anymore.
No. And technology, like my brother just went through a huge health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, I had a custom sound healing made for him in the vibration of a healthy organ that he needed. And he said to me, he's like, my best friend was really sick, and he went to his doctor, and then he went to this alternative person, and they did sound healing on him, and he got healed or whatever. I'm like, yeah, because this works. This amplifies your frequency and helps you recalibrate. And like, people are looking for new things.
Not a pill anymore.
Yeah,
they're looking
even people who are just really in a box, that have always been a box, are now, they're one side or the other, or they're this or they're that. They have their lines drawn. Are now like, their lines are kind of getting smushed. I'm hoping. I feel like it's starting. Yeah.
I mean, even in my own life, where I had a certain set of beliefs that was like, no, this is the way the world works, rah, 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 and if you don't believe it, rah, 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 rah. I never was that bad. I was always like, live and let live. But now I dance.
Yeah.
There's some things I agree with here, some things on a personal level I agree there, and it's kind of like this mishmash. I take what makes sense to me, and I do that with everything I do on the show. Like, some things I agree with, some things I don't.
Yes.
And I kind of pick things that make sense for me, and I hope the audience does the exact same thing.
That's your journey.
Like, what resonates with you? So and I said this before, and I'll say it again, with religion, if it gets you closer to God, to source, and you're not hurting anyone, and you're not doing it in a fear-based way, then go for it.
Absolutely.
And you want to live in those rules that make sense for you? Go. You want to be a monk or a friar in a or an ashram somewhere,
on
a mountain somewhere for 40 years, and that's what you want to do, and that's getting you closer to God, and you're helping others with it, or even just helping yourself.
Yes.
Go for it.
Go for it.
What my path isn't your path, and so on and so forth.
There was a reverence. I mean, like I talked to my papa before. I'm 54 years old, and I say papa. I don't care. That's who he was.
Sure. Of course.
He was from Italy, and he was big and boisterous, but like he would cry at a heartbeat if something touched his heart, And we would drive past the Catholic church, and the hat came off. And
the
ambulance would go by, and it was
cemetery.
But there was a reverence, there was a respect, a reverence, there was a love, it was tradition. The guides talk about that religion, exactly what you just said. They talk about that. I've had, like, community members we do a conscious community circle once a month. They're able to submit questions to the council, and the council will give them answers. And one was about that. And it was exactly what you said. Like, if it's bringing you closer towards resonating with your frequency better, or understanding or serving you in a higher way, then it's all good.
That's the way it should be.
As long as you're living your life like, in a way that's in a higher frequency.
Well, there's that.
Because there's that whole thing.
We can go down that road. Now I'm going to ask you a few questions I ask all my guests.
Yes,
I'm sure I'm familiar with these.
I can't wait.
What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
I feel like it is living on purpose, living completely, authentically, and honoring with me. When I get these downloads, I can't stuff them in my back pocket and say, no, I'm not going to do that right now or whatever. I have to move forward in it, or I don't feel like I'm living authentically. I don't feel like I'm living my soul's purpose. And being the best version of myself, serving my creativity. I'm a musician, I'm an artist, and moving forward with love and my spirit in front of me.
If you had a chance to go back in time and speak to little Pamela, what would you ask her?
Oh my God. Her name was Pammy Lou.
Nice. That's a cool name.
But I would tell her, she had no confidence. She would connect with older people and elders so much more easily than her peers. She always had a smile and was kind, and but she, lacked that fatherly confidence to help build her up. And I would tell her, just take it easy. It's okay. Don't get worked up about things, and go with the flow a little more. It's going to be okay. Love yourself. That's actually a really big one, Alex. Love yourself.
Oh God, yeah.
Huge,
yeah. We're the worst persons to ourselves than anybody
Still
else.
Working on that.
Yeah, we treat ourselves worse than anybody will ever treat us.
Sometimes I catch my thoughts, and I'm like, stop it.
That's horrible.
My David will say, don't be mean to my girl. And it makes me stop. And I'm like, well, I didn't mean to do that.
Yep. How do you define God or source?
It's an omnipotent energy that moves through you, that is part of me, it's part of you, it's part of everything. And it's all-knowing, and it's love.
What is love?
Love is the highest frequency that there is. Love is easy. Love is beautiful. Love feels good. It resonates, and it's a high, happy frequency.
And what is the ultimate purpose of life?
And love is my puppy's eyes. Very
much so.
It's to understand and experience love.
And where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing in the world?
Oh my gosh. On my platform, spirit-calling.com, I have a community that I created for everyone to explore their spirituality in a safe place. I have a podcast. It's called Live the Call. I have a new television show called Divine Wisdom on the up-and-coming Ethereal Network. So that's new. They haven't launched yet. And on my social platform, Spirit Calling Pamela.
Very nice. Very nice. And do you have any parting messages for the audience?
Yeah, I would just say to be kind to yourself and others and stop fighting. Like you said, open your heart. Look at someone else's position. Have empathy and love for them.
Pamela, it's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, it was my pleasure too.
It was an experience. The council was an experience. I'll give you that.
I can't wait to watch it.
The council was an experience that I have not had in the show before. So
goodness.
It was a lot of energy coming.
Yeah, it blew out the thing.
There was a little shift of a little surge of electricity in here. We had to what's going on with the cameras? But it's been a pleasure, and I wish you the best on your journey and helping others.
Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate you, and thank you for having me. It was really awesome.
Thanks for watching. Click on one of the videos below to continue your journey, and don't forget to subscribe.